Sends me the links all the time.
He sent it to you too?
Yeah, he sends me the links all the time. I'm like, what?
That's crazy,
I'm
man.
like, each his own, man. Keep it going.
Yeah, I'm
So,
fine.
what grade are you guys?
Bam. 12.
12? Y'all all going to 12?
It looks like that.
All right.
Oh, different ages?
Okay.
We start. We start them. All right, cool. Pay attention. What grade are you in?
11,
What grade are you in?
10.
12.
All right, so cool. So one thing we're gonna start off with, because I love my phone too, but I'm gonna respect y'all and put my phone down so that we could be respectful of each other's time and we could really get to know each other and we could really connect and, you know, chat about things. So my name is Christian Drummer, from Kansas City, Missouri, born and raised. I went to Lincoln Prep, and then I ended up transferring my sophomore year over to Grandview. So grew up on 26th and Euclid, just down the street, not too far away from here. And that's kind of me. I'll tell y'all more about myself, but I want to kind of break the ice and get to know who you are, what grade you're in, and then tell me what you're thinking about going to college for, or if you're thinking about going to college at all. So you can go ahead and start off.
I'm going to be in 10th grade, and I do want to go to college.
You do want to go to college?
Yeah.
Okay, what you want to do?
I want to be a real estate agent.
Okay, all right. Next person?
Real estate.
Ma'am?
You said associate.
Your name too?
My name is Desiree, and I do want to go to college
Okay.
for business.
And what year are you? Or going into?
11.
11. Okay. What about you, ma'am?
My name is Tanisha, and I'm in 11th grade, and I'm not going to college.
Okay. What about you, sir?
My name is Chance. I'm going to college for business, and I'm going to be a real estate agent.
Okay, all right. Ma'am?
My name's Gabby.
Okay.
Hopefully I get a scholarship, either play ball or football.
Okay, all right. And what year are you going into?
Oh, sophomore.
Sophomore? Okay. And what about you?
My name is Esmeralda, and I want to go to college. I'm really indecisive about what I want to do, but like it has to do with psychology, economics, or business.
Okay, cool. So it's an interesting mix in here. And the cool thing is like, I asked y'all that not so y'all can have like the perfect answer and be like, oh yeah, I want to go to school and be a dentist. Like, that's not the whole point. When I was your age, shoot, probably.
So you already know. You wait for that.
Oh, I thought. Okay, cool.
You don't have to go to another class.
Okay, I'm
All right, get your back.
I was trying to figure out my locker code. But the thing is like the reason I asked y'all that question is not so y'all could have like the perfect cheesy answer, because to be completely honest, I didn't know what I wanted to do at all up until I'm 27 now. I graduated in 2012. I probably didn't know really what I wanted to do in my life until maybe a couple years ago. So I think that like one of the big things that I want to get across today is that, you know, as far as moving into the stage that y'all moving in your life, like, you know, you're probably sitting up here like, man, this dude is corny. I don't know what he's talking about. He's standing up here like he really knows something. And I've been there in the reverse shoes. But the thing is like, this is a critical point in all of your lives. It's like a transition, you know what I'm saying? You're going from being that little kid that was in, you know, elementary school, middle school, and now you're transitioning into what is adulthood. And it comes faster every single year. So it's just interesting to, you know, see what you guys are thinking about as far as what you want to do and what you want to go. And I think it's really important too to really have a focus on, you know, what direction you want to go. You may not know what you want to do. You may not know what you want to be. You may not know if you want to go to college or whatever the case, but just know where you want to go and where your end destination is. So my first actionable goal for you guys that I want you to kind of take from this is to look at your life in a backwards type of way. I had an old teacher, one of those real old white dudes that come in. He was in the military and nobody listened to him. Everybody was throwing pencils at him, but he told me something really, really important that I modeled my life after pretty much this entire way through. And he told me the Japanese, they look at their life backwards. So what they do is they get a gravestone, right? And on this gravestone, before they even die, like in the beginning of their life, they write what they want to be remembered for when they die. So that's like a weird perspective because nobody don't want to think about dying, nobody don't even want to go there. But at the same time, what it does is it helps you to frame your mindset to know what direction you're headed in your life. It ain't got to do with money. It don't have to do with your career. It don't have, like, what type of person do you want to be remembered for? What type of changes do you want to make? And what type of impact do you want to carry with your life? And think about it from that step right there, and then everything else in the middle is going to fill itself in, you know? But a little bit about me, like I was telling y'all, I'm from Kansas City, Missouri. So I grew up, originally I used to live in Hilltop Apartments. Then we ended up moving over to 26th and Euclid. I went to Christus Attucks for elementary school. And then I ended up actually transferring. We moved like out south to South Kansas City, and I ended up going to Johnson Elementary, then Urban Middle School in the Hickman Middle School District. Then I went to Lincoln, which is right over here. And then I ended up transferring to Grandview. So I'm just like y'all, like, and you may be looking at me like, man, I don't even, who is this guy? But like, I was in y'all shoes not too long ago. And when I say not too long ago, it feel like yesterday. Like, it's crazy how fast time starts going. Like, it's like, I was just in the hallways, running around in Lincoln, running from the security officers, trying to skip class, being bad. Like, we doing all, talking back to the teachers, getting smart. I was doing all the same stuff. And y'all don't have to feel guilty for none of it, because it's just life. That's what the stage that you're in right now. But after my time at, you know, high school at Lincoln and then Grandview, I played football. So luckily I was able to get a football scholarship to go to college. Now the funny thing is, I didn't know nothing about college. My mom actually started college the same year that I was starting college myself. Or no, actually, no, she started college the same year I started high school. So the entire time that I was in high school, my mom was going to college and trying to, you know, figure out her stuff. So as far as going into that space, like, I didn't know what to do or like what I wanted to be. Like, you know, a teacher asked you like a doctor, lawyer, teacher, you know, whatever. So I was like, oh, I want to be a doctor. So I decided, I'm like, I'm gonna go and do pre-med. My mom is doing nursing, whatever the case. I got there. I had bad study habits. I used to not take notes in class. I used to not really pay attention. So when I got to college, it hit me all in the face like, wow, nope, you gotta take notes. You gotta do your homework every single night. And let's just say the least that pre-med didn't work out for me. It wasn't a good move. And really the whole going far away from home for college wasn't really the best move for me either. So long story short, ended up moving back to the Kansas City area, ended up getting another scholarship because I played football to go to a local college called Benedictine. Spent the rest of my time there, played, you know, graduated, and that was pretty much the end of it. Now, what I'm not telling y'all is all the like bad details it took me to get through college. College was actually a struggle for me financially because my parents, you know, weren't in a position to help me out, you know, with like I would struggle to get food on the weekends because my parents could barely send me money to like, you know, buy like extra food and stuff. So it was a struggle financially to get through college, and it was a hard time, you know what I'm saying? But I actually ended up making it through with the support of a lot of people and a lot of help. But I guess I tell that story more so to say that, you know, you don't have to necessarily go on any certain path as far as you got to do what works for you. There's programs like my little sister right now, she graduated from Center in this past year. She's in an A+ program, but the cool thing for her is that she's able to take her community college classes and do all that stuff for free. And at the same time,
right? Isn't it 2 years?
Yep, it's 2 years. You get 2 years completely free. And the cool thing about it too is, coming out of high school, let's just keep it real. Most people don't know what they want to do. And society is sitting here trying to force you and tell you that, hey, like you need to know, you need to go down this path, you need to do this or you need to do that. And then you may feel external pressure like, well, shoot, I need money, or I need to take care of myself, or I need this, or I need that. And the reality is that, you know what I'm saying, you don't have to focus on any of those things. There's resources to help you get, you know, in place. So fast forward, lived my life, you know, I ended up actually, after I got out of college, I joined this company called Brown Shoe Fit, where I was like a shoe salesman. So I mean like a normal, like I'm talking like Foot Locker shoe salesman. And I sold shoes to people, like I put them on their feet, had to get like, do the whole bit. Like, I mean, it was crazy. And I did that for a while, like, you know, just trying to put some money in my pocket. I was broke, so I'm like, dude, I need a job. And, you know, that's how it be. You be broke and, you know, you need a job. So anyways, I started selling shoes, and this company that I worked for had a assistant manager program. So I was like, you know what? I don't really know what I'm about to do with my life. I mean, I might as well try to, join this program and see what they can do. So they're like, hey, we're gonna teach you everything. We're gonna help you to get set up, and then eventually you can own your own store. So I'm like, cool, like whatever. I didn't know I could own anything, like at all. I didn't even think that was possible. Like I'm like, own something, like I don't know anybody who owns anything, but I don't even know people who own their own house. And that's being completely honest. Like, it's like ownership, like what? So I ended up joining this program, and I ended up learning, the whole thing. I worked hard, like, and eventually saved up enough money for my pay and everything where I was able to buy a small share in the company. So little like business thing, you don't own the whole company. You can own a piece of a company and have ownership within it. So it's like stock. Like, I don't own all of Apple, but you can go on Cash App and buy a piece of Apple, and now you have some ownership within Apple. So what I did with that store was I was able to buy a piece of that store, and I was able to, get some ownership. And I worked there for a while, and it was cool, and I sold shoes, and then I actually ended up getting the opportunity to open up a store in Warrensburg, Missouri, and I ran that store, and it was cool, and it was a good time. Like I learned a lot of business, perspective and things like that, but it just wasn't really my passion. Like it was just some stuff I was doing, and that's what we see in life. Like most people around us are just doing what they have to do to get by. Whether it's you got to work this job at 7-Eleven, or you got to go down to the factory, or you got to be like whatever it is, but they're not really passionate about it. It's not what you love. And so I made that decision that I was like, you know what? I'm gonna drop all of this, and I'm just about to follow my dream. Like I'm just about to figure it out. And the only thing I could even connect with my dream, I wasn't like, I dream to be like an NBA player, or like I dream to be a lawyer or something. I was just like, man, I dream to like live in New York City. Like that seems crazy to me, but like I've always wanted to go there. I've always wanted to, do it. And everybody around me is like, but it's so expensive, it's this, it's that. You got doubt around you. People basically projecting their experience onto you. Oh, it's going to be hard. Oh, you're not going to be able to afford stuff. Oh, your family's not going to be there. Oh, negative, 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 negative.
No positives.
No positives. I put a box around my head and I couldn't hear any of it. And I was like, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to New York. I'm going to figure it out. And that's just what it's going to be. And so I took all the little money I had saved up. At this point, I had a daughter and I had a long-term girlfriend. And I was just like, you know what? Like, let's put all our money together, we're gonna move to New York. So we did it, we put all our little money that we had together, hopped on an airplane, flew up to New York City. I didn't even know what I was gonna do for a job, really. Like, I really didn't have anything set up. Got up there, and I was like the bottom of the barrel. Like, I didn't know what was going on. People in New York City are quick. Everybody's trying to sell you something, everybody's running some kind of game, everybody's, hustling, doing something. Like, everybody, you got kids, everybody gets around on subways there. So you got kids like you guys on the subways after school, you in this big city, you walk outside and there's 1,000 people out there, and then you hopping on the train and running around, they're selling candy on the trains, kids are like, selling bracelets, people are speaking tons of different languages. Every community is represented, whether it's Black community, Afro-Caribbean, Asian communities like Chinese, Cambodian, Japanese, Hispanic communities like Dominicans, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, Guatemalans, like everybody's represented in this diverse area. And it was a big culture shock to me because coming from Kansas City, typically all you see is like, Black, white, Mexican, and that's pretty much the majority of people. You get a few like African and like Asian communities sprinkled in, but not much. And so it was a culture shock. I didn't really have any money. I brought my whole family up here, but the thing was I had to figure it out. And I had my end goal in mind. I always knew what I wanted to get to. I didn't really know how I was going to get there, but I was focused on it. And so ended up getting a sales job. I was working at this bed company, and it's like, imagine, I don't know if you guys seen like Devil Wears Prada or something like that, but it's like the super rich people, like basically just treating you like shit, like just dogging you out, like. And that's what I was doing. I was selling this beds to these super rich people and just trying to make a way, working hard, struggling. Bills are super expensive. Like you live in this tiny little bitty space. You got people above you, you got people below you, but you got the experience of, all these people around you, this whole giant city, this whole experience. And like, it doesn't matter what you got. It's like you got this experience around you. I didn't have nothing in my pocket, but I'm like, you know what? I have this around me and I'm gonna make something out of it. So kept on grinding, got another sales job. moved a little bit up, you know, selling a little bit nicer furniture, you know what I'm saying? And then I ended up like really kind of buckling down. I had been in sales for so long that I had enough experience, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try something a little bit better. So I ended up actually getting a job with Sprint or T-Mobile now, and doing like small business sales for them. So I was basically selling like cell phone technology to like, you know, any business you see on the streets, you know, like not the Walmarts, not the big people, not that, but like, you know, just normal small mom and pop shops.
The local businesses.
Local businesses, exactly. And so I did that for a while. Next thing you know, I'm making the big bucks. Like I'm in the, you know, pushing the 6-figure range, you know, as far as money, because, and I stuck to it. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna grind through this, I'm gonna push through it, and I'm not gonna accept what they're giving to me. When I was back at the shoe store, I could have just been like, you know what, this is good enough. I'm gonna quit, and I'm just gonna, you know, I'm scared to leave, so I'm just gonna stay. And I was like, no, I'm gonna chase my dream. So I did that first one, did that next one, and I finally had a breakthrough and broke through to another level with the cell phone sales. And then, you know what? That didn't end up being satisfying me. I was like, you know what? This is not really what I want to do. This is not what is really truly in my heart. So something spoke to me, and I listened, and it was like, hey, I was inside of a Sprint store one day, and a thought just came to me, and it was like, walk out of here.
You said what?
And
Walk out of here.
it said, walk out of here. Like, I promise you, like, that's the thing that came to my mind. I was like, you know what? I'm about to walk out of here. And it wasn't like I was balling. I was living paycheck to paycheck. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't have like this, like, fat, like, security blanket. Like, it was pretty much like, if I don't got no money next month, like, you need to be figuring it out, or you going back to Kansas City. But still, something told me, it was like, you know what? Walk out of here. Be done with it. So I listened to my heart. I walked out, and long story short.
Opportunity came.
Huh?
Then opportunity came, right?
Opportunity came. she foreshadowed it. That foreshadowing is important. The opportunity came, like, you know, that door closed and another one opened. And that sounds cheesy, and it sounds corny, and it sounds all these different things, but like, it was the truth. I was willing to close that door behind me, leave it behind me, and say, you know what, there's something better ahead of me, and there was something better ahead of me. And that's what got me into the tech world, and that's actually where I work now. So, and that's the whole reason I came to speak today, is basically just to share, you know, opportunities in that space. So, you know, it's not a lot of tech jobs and communities in the Kansas City area. It's not a lot of things that they offer as far as that. So me growing up, I was like, you know, tech, like I got an iPhone, like, you know, I know Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, but like tech outside of that, I didn't really know what it was. And then when I got into tech, like this whole world opened up to me. I'm like, you know what, everything is digital. Everything. I mean, a computer you type it on, this thing right here, this right here, you got the software that runs it, you got the actual pieces that have to make it function, you got the little electrical cords that have to function in a certain type of way. There are companies that handle each individual little portion of that, and when you really start thinking about the world around you, everything is digital. So if everything is digital, that means they need somebody to do the job. And the way that this whole world is growing, the pay is exponential for it too. So they hiring tons of people to do these jobs because there's plenty of money for people to do it. So long story short, ended up working at this startup where I basically was like a sales development representative. So I was calling like CEOs and like, you know, top people within companies and trying to set up meetings to sell this technology to them. And then from that point transitioned to selling like cybersecurity. So now what I do is I sell cybersecurity to like the Googles, the Facebooks, the Bank of Americas, the, you know, all the top organizations, because we live in a world that's digital. And now there's hackers out here. These hackers are coming in, they're forming like hacking gangs. It'll be like all of y'all in the class, and you guys know how to code really good. And what y'all doing is y'all all get together and just say, you know what, we're about to attack Bank of America. Y'all hack into their servers, and then you'll take all their data, and then you'll leave them a note and say, hey, you're not getting your data back until you give us $1.5 million.
Ransom.
It's called ransomware. And people really are like paying this amount of money because these games are so sophisticated that you can't even track them. You don't know where they are. You don't know where they're coming from. You don't know how, why.
And then sometimes, sorry to interrupt
No,
you, sometimes the companies will hire the hackers to say, look, if you find any like spots where you can hack in my company, I will pay you for it. You see, so they'll hire the smart people to say, look, make sure my stuff is secure. You see, and that's what Chris does now. He sells software to these companies. Here, you need to install all this on your computers to make sure you don't have hackers, stealing all your data.
That was my future dream when I was little, to be a hacker.
That's not a bad dream. And that's the whole point, is that really you gotta think outside the box. They only gonna spoon feed us the typical same old stuff. Oh, you can be
job, go to college.
yeah, oh, you can be a doctor, a nurse, a this, and which is all cool if that's what you want to do. But there's so many other things too. There's people who know how to code who don't even go and get a college diploma. They're coming fresh out of high school. We'll take a 12-week course that, guess what, the state of Missouri will pay for you, so you don't have to come out of no money out of your pocket to take it. And they'll take a 12-week course to learn how to code. They'll pay you $80,000. Imagine being 18 years old. You took a 12-week class after you graduated, and now you got an $80,000
Probably
job.
most more than what your parents make right now. You know what I mean?
Press buttons on a computer. Like, that's it. Like, you know how to type a couple of buttons right here and do this. You can learn this stuff on YouTube. In my field, there are people who right now do the exact same job as me that are making $3 to $4 million a year and more. $3 to $4 million a year. So break that down to smaller numbers. That's like $56,000 a week. Could you imagine getting a deposit in your bank account every week for $56,000? No, you're not rapping.
What's that horse?
You're not a singer, you're not a celebrity. You're just a normal guy who learned how to do a normal skill.
Which
And
was
now-
coding? Or?
Yeah.
This is software sales. This is on the sales side. On the coding side, people were making $1 million a
And
year.
just after high school, you said?
Just after high school.
So
No
that's like a
college.
little side hustle I could do this.
They're learning how to do this sales. Or like I said, on the sales end. You come out, you can do an academy just like that. You don't have to go to college to work within business or certain things. Like, you have to really narrow down and figure out what it is you want to do and find the path. But like, say for instance, a sales path in business, you don't have to go to college to be in sales. You can take one of these academies and then they're paying you again $100,000 fresh out of high school. Like, it's just an unreal world that's happening. There's product management. You could just be the person that's talking about the product. You could be the person that's doing the marketing, saying, okay, hey, let's drop a video like this, or you could be the person making the video. You could be the person designing the website for the actual company. You could be making the ad for that whole thing. It's a whole, it's so many different industries and categories within it, and it's unlimited jobs there. You know what I'm saying? It's not like there's a lack. Matter of fact, what's happening right now, no kidding y'all, I seen a post. I use LinkedIn for social networking for work. So there was this guy, he's a VP of sales. So that basically means he's the vice president of the sales organization at a company. He runs the entire sales organization. He got on there, he said, I would be willing to pay any high school seniors right now that are willing to forego their first year of college to come and work for a tech startup to learn how to do tech sales, $65,000.
Oh, shit.
You should write me that website.
It sounds like one of those pyramid schemes, right? Where they'd be like, oh yeah, get in and start doing the Forex, and then you pay me, and then I pay you, and then you pay that guy, and then you'll be a millionaire. No, it's not like that. This is real stuff that's happening. But the problem is that when you live in certain environments, like say for instance Kansas City, like we all grew up in, who worked in tech in Kansas City that we know? I don't know anybody. Most people don't know anybody, and the thing is if you don't know, then how could you even aim for those type of things? So I'm not gonna sit here and talk you out of death. Homegirl right here, I am bordered to no end.
They all do this every class.
But what I want to leave y'all with is that you have to dream outside the box. You cannot let yourself be limited by what other people tell you that you can achieve for yourself. Remember this statement.
What does that have to do with me?
Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. Make it literally mash it into your brain. Tell yourself that every morning when you wake up until you just believe it. You drive yourself crazy and you know what? I ain't said this so many times, I'm really starting to believe it. And then when you really start to believe it, you'll look at your life and you'll be like, wow, how did I get right here? It's because you kept that constant belief and you constantly push yourself to that next level. Don't become complacent. Don't get lazy. Like, there's so much to achieve, and it's not all about money. It's not all about, you know, your job. It's not all about what college you're about to go to. It's about experience and about pushing yourself and widening your perspective and being able to, you know, be open to new things. So that's it. Anybody got questions about anything? Questions about
Can you
what?
write down like the theme of
Yes.
the academy for me?
Yes, yes. Yeah, matter of fact, it's called SV Academy. So it's,
Come on, phone number.
See, you talk about taking the notes, you know what I mean?
and
Like,
this is what I'm
all
trying to
these
emphasize. Like, I'm really deeply passionate about this. Cause I'm like, I see people and I'm like, okay, yeah, you about to go and work for $12 an hour, bro. But do you know that you could do less work? Let me tell y'all about what my day looks like. I wake up,
SB Academy.
SV Academy. I wake up,
Ours is
Um,
This is
I
his
take my
day.
daughter to
This is-
school.
He has a loft downtown. A loft like downtown.
yeah, so I live like in the Power and Light District. It's nice. And like,
you do?
yeah, like a high-rise apartment with the like deck and it's nice.
Pool on the top of the roof, like all.
And the thing is like I wake up in the morning, I take my daughter to school, I have coffee, I'll go and like, you know, hop on the TV, maybe watch some Sopranos a little bit. Then I might have a couple of meetings like for about 30 minutes apiece. I'll go and make my calls on my accounts. I'll take a shower, then I'll go downstairs to the gym, or I might go up to the pool and take a swim. And then I'll, you know, hit up some friends. I might talk on the phone or hop on social media, see what people are doing. I might turn on the 2K and play a little bit. Then I got like another 30-minute meeting. And I'll pick up my daughter, and then my day is pretty much over. And
That's good to have a very
You work from
productive
home, don't you?
life.
I work from
Always
home.
Lucky.
So always doing
Easy.
something new, right? New meetings, you have time for your kids.
Yeah, absolutely, because
I'm
the
happy for you.
one thing you really gotta understand, and this is, you can't let these companies pimp you for your time.
Right.
You know, your time is more important than any dollar amount. And that's what you learn as you grow and you progress through this whole business world, is that quality of life is just as important as what you do for the money that you get. So yeah, say for instance, like at Ford, you can make a lot of money working at Ford at the factory, right? You can make $80,000, $90,000, $100,000.
As long as you enjoy it, right?
As long as you enjoy it. But would you rather be using your body all day long, physical labor that's actually making you tired and beat up, and then you
Put
don't
less
got
less years on your
less
life.
years on your life, you don't got time, you're too tired when you get home to talk to your kids or your family, you don't want to take vacations because you can't. You have to look at what are the trade-offs for you. So,
How early do you start your day?
how early?
Yeah.
So I typically wake up about 6 o'clock in the morning, not because I have to be up at 6, but just because I naturally wake up at that time. And yeah, I don't start working until usually about like 9.
Not bad, not bad.
Any more?
Any more
Yes,
questions?
question.
Yeah, you can ask me anything about, it doesn't have to be about work or, you know, just about being from KC, like all y'all, like, I feel like, man, when I was y'all age, like I just was looking around like, man, it's bad. There's just nothing I can do. Like, this is hard.
I wanted to get out of Kansas City so
I wanted to get
bad.
out so bad.
Like I felt like going to college is like going to the NFL because I just was wanted to get out of this city because I saw people who we went to school with who was older than me, and then they would be in the same spot. They'd be still selling drugs. They'd be still stealing stuff, and it was just like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to end up where y'all end up. You know, I don't want to. There's crackheads that are our neighbors. Our best basketball player in our neighborhood was a crackhead. You see what I'm saying? So like that's who we had to look up to. And I
Not to downgrade crackheads or anything like that.
Look, downgrade them. And that's the thing Eric was talking about too, is that you can still be a slave today. You can still be enslaved if you let them. You know, or you can free your mind and stay free. You see, and your life will reflect that. Would you have a question?
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask. Do you think it's possible to get multiple, like, not multiple jobs, but do multiple, like, majors in a way, I guess?
Yeah. So, you know, it's a lot of people that dual major in certain things. Like you could go in and do like, say for instance, you want to learn how to code. You could do software engineering with a focus in healthcare management.
Healthcare, so that's like.
So you could do like healthcare care
Hospitals
coding,
and
or
stuff like that.
you could do, say you want to do marketing, but you want to have a focus on banking. So you could take a finance degree with an emphasis in marketing. Now, what I will say is you got to think about it in reverse. You know what I'm saying? So don't think about it as, okay, what majors can I take to get to this outcome? Ask yourself, what will make me happy every single day? Or like, you know, what would be cool for me to do? Like, what kind of lifestyle do I see? Figure out what leads to that, and then work backwards to, okay, you know, I want to be a movie director. Well, what steps do I have to take to go there? Do I need to go to college, or do I need to do this, or do I need to major in this? Like, really plan it out, because the man who plans succeeds, you know? If you have a plan ahead of time, you're gonna get to where you need to go. And that's why I say, you know, look at your life backwards. It's crazy, y'all, like what the mind can do and the power of your mind.
It's the most powerful weapon you got.
Powerful. Like, you put it in the front of your mind, you see yourself in detail. When you, in the car
Like,
you
yeah.
want, feel the leather on your hand, like, you know, feel the speed when you hit the gas. Like, imagine that house, that couch that you want in that room, like, and see it. And see it every day.
Manifestation.
You know?
And you can visualize it better the faster it comes, because I guess the universe is gonna make its way to you, and your part of it has to do the action part. the
Exactly.
positive thing.
And that works just as strong with negative thoughts.
Mhm.
So when you're thinking negative, that's gonna turn in your universe. The
Your
when you-
mind believes it.
That's the more you
It's
let.
not even your mind
You
believing it,
do.
it's you're putting that energy out there. You can put positive
And
energy or
it comes back to
negative.
you.
Mhm.
Like the energy you put out, if it's not genuine, it's not
Mhm.
nothing's
It's-
gonna
it's
happen
down to
because
the
it's not
moment,
genuine. So what if you're mean to someone, like that energy is literally gonna come back to you because it can't be destroyed or created.
Right.
It's like transferring.
And-
It's transferred back to you.
Right, and you was talking about some things about like daily habits. Like, you got any questions like that? You were talking about like how to improve yourself on like the daily thing. Like, what do you say about
What's your
that?
motivation?
You know, my motivation was that, like, I came from a really poor background, like, just to, like, be completely honest. Like, me growing up in high school, like, we didn't have, like, hot running water in my house. Like, I had to, like, boil water for baths, and it was just, like, a really, like, predicament that you shouldn't grow up in as a kid, but you can't let your environment determine your outcome. So I was just like, you know what? I don't want to live like this. And that's what drove me to be in the, or at least continue to fight. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, one day I'm not going to give up. And days are hard. Like, some days you don't feel like it. Some days you don't, like, you know, your mind is consuming you with those negative thoughts, and you're looking around and everything is negative and it's beating you up. But one key to remember is that it's waves, it's up and down. It's like, sometimes you're gonna be down here, the next day you might be right here, but it's all gonna balance out. So really, you know, ask yourself, what is in my control when those things are, you know, hurting you? You can't control that, you know, this situation is this way, but you can control how you react to it.
Your emotions.
Exactly.
Your emotions are literally the way you see life, right? Your emotions are connected to every reaction or action you do. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Any
your
other
life is
questions? Oh,
basically, sorry.
No,
So
you
your
fine.
life
Go
is
ahead.
basically just what's it called? Revolving around your emotions. So like how you see the world. If somebody does you wrong and it makes you feel like mad or something, then like of course you're gonna be mad.
Mhm.
That's the way you react.
Mhm. That's the truth. That's the truth.
You got any questions, James?
Cause I was expecting you to expect me to have.
You did?
I want everybody to have at least one question. One question. You can ask me anything. It could be about like nothing, something completely unrelated, but I want to make sure that I can give y'all everything that I have to give. So like,
Did you ever
Yes.
feel like you wasn't gonna be able to do what you're doing today? Like, did you ever lose motivation?
so many times, so many times. Like I told you, like when I was in college, and it was hard to get through because my parents really didn't have anything that they could do to help me. And like, so, you know, I had this choice. Like, man, I could easily go move back to Kansas City, go and get a job, like, you know, figure it out, or I could continue to fight through this situation. There was times where I lost everything that I had. Like, you know, it was times where I lost people. It was times that, like, you know, people stabbed my back, or, you know, family stabbed my back, or like, you know, you go through emotional situations. The thing is, life is gonna happen. Like, get used to it. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be there. Things are gonna be hard. But you gotta think about your life like this. Man, if I got it hard right now, I know that I'm getting prepared for something better on the back end, because some people ain't got it that hard right now. Some people's life is like, you know, all the way through the middle. Some people's life is a series of ups and downs. So you gotta know where you fit in and just, you know, keep pushing. Like, make your mind up that I'm not gonna stop fighting.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, how much a month are you spending on rent and high rise?
So in Kansas City, I'll put it in perspective like this. So in New York, I had an apartment. I promise you, it's probably about from where Cedric is sitting to about where I'm standing, like in a square. That's about how big it was. And that apartment was like $2,500 a month in rent. The apartment, I have an apartment down in Power and Light right now in Kansas City. It's a lot bigger, a lot nicer, a lot more luxury. It's $2,200 a month.
Oh boy, that's crazy.
I'm gonna say this too. Like, it is crazy in a lot of ways because of like the state of, say for instance, the minimum wage in Kansas City, I believe is still what, $8.35? $7.50? Yeah, so minimum wage in Kansas City is $7.50. Minimum wage in New York City is $15. Neither one of them is enough money to live in that
that's
area,
respectable area.
in that respectable area. But there's this thing, it's like this line. And it's maybe they call it the poverty line. I don't know. I'm not that economic about it, but there's this line where a lot of people make this much money, and it's a struggle. But then is this line right here, and the rest of the people make this much money above the line. Once you get to about this line right here, that amount is really not a lot of money. People pay a lot more money to live. Like I met this lady. She was a anesthesiologist in LA. So that's the doctor who basically gives you the anesthesia. Yep.
Yeah,
So
I know about that.
they give you the anesthesia. She was paying for an apartment in New York City, a high rise, like $12,000 a month. Yeah. And it was not a big deal for her. And just to again put it in a frame of reference, I'm gonna do the math for you. So it's not uncommon for people to make about, once you're in your mid-30s, to make about $200,000 a year, right? That's about $4,000 a week. So that's $16,000 a month.
That she was making or she was spending?
She could have been. She was an anesthesiologist. She probably was making over $1 million a year. But just to put that in reference, like I have a friend who's a software developer. So he basically does the coding, the architecture, like the typing. He makes, and I'm not trying to number drop because don't want y'all to get your mind wrapped around the number is so important. It's more so about
What's out there, the possibilities.
The possibilities, and what you're doing, what you're passionate about. You're going to make money. If you love makeup and you dedicate yourself to makeup, you're going to make money in makeup. If you love, coaching, it's going to translate. So, but this friend that I have, he's my age, which I'm 27. He's been making about $175,000 a year since he was like 24. And he works in tech. And he also does a job that didn't necessarily require him to get a college degree. Now, I'm not going to sit here and be the person that's don't go to college, but just make sure that you're making the proper decisions for you. A lot of people go to college, they don't know what they want to do. And then they get out and they still don't know what they want to do. And you got this bill now that you got to pay for. It's like, you just spent $200,000, we need our money.
Right now.
But,
Something like that.
any other questions? You got a question?
I said,
I'm still with that.
Okay. Sir?
I don't.
It's cool. Well, I appreciate y'all letting me come in. Like, y'all, this is a benefit for me. So that's why I want to give y'all everything that I can, because I'm really passionate about where I come from. Like I said, I came from the same streets, probably same situations, same places as all y'all. And I got siblings that look just like all you guys. So I just want to be able to give back and be able to, share my experience. And if there's anything I can do, if you want to talk to me after class or, get my email or whatever the case, don't feel afraid to reach out. Seriously.